just had a couple of procedural questions, so it probably would be better answered by you, if I could.
You can ask.
Thank you so much. So, you mentioned, the 2020 census data, but also, now we know that the voting activity, or voting behavior that we'll be looking at will also be the same that we looked at in 2022, which I guess would be up until that point, the voting behavior. Is that information, is that data that we as members are gonna have access to?
If you're asking, the data that's available through the MapPrime tool is the same data that was available in 2022. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it's the same voting data as well.
Cool. Thank you so much. And in, previous iterations of this, whether it's tours around the state or the mapping tool was ahead of its time that we used in the past. Are there going to be other, or can we anticipate, to go back and tell our constituents, there going to be other opportunities for public input? With potentially them being able, whether it's draw their map or at least give their input on boundaries?
So I'd say, like every piece of legislation we consider here, our constituents individually are always free to reach out to any of us, of course, and weigh in and provide input. With respect to this committee in particular, like I mentioned last meeting and again this morning, we will certainly have opportunities in this committee to have public input as well. But
When?
Again, I would say that at any time,
When?
constituents from any district can reach out.
When?
Ladies and gentlemen, you find yourself in the Capitol. We're going to maintain decorum here. We're not going to shout questions out. As I mentioned, we will have an opportunity for public comment at future meetings. For purposes of, again, regular constituent input, you are free to reach out to any member of the House of Representatives at any time. But if that answers your question, Representative Chambers said.
And for the purposes of public information, could I make a special request that the committee under your leadership could consider? Could we potentially notice when earlier if public comment of a proposed committee is going to be available or not available? I think that would help if they knew that this was an educational presentation compared to this is an opportunity for public comment. The early, people are making travel plans.
Right on.
South Florida, they bust them.
I understand your point. Certainly, we'll try and notice the meetings as early as possible. And obviously, whenever we have presentations, as we've had the past two meetings, like in every other committee I'm in, we typically do not have public comment when there are just presentations. When there's some sort of legislative action that's being considered, that's typically when we see public comment in normal meetings. We'll certainly try and notice the meetings as reasonably and early as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.